What is going on, everyone? We got some great stuff to talk about in today's stream. And yeah, let's get into it. But before that, everyone, uh, whoops, sorry. Okay, no, we're live. All right, what is going on, everyone? Mets Talk with Hayden here. Hope everyone is doing extremely well today. I'm most certainly doing well. And why is that? Well, because the Mets clinched the playoffs against the Milwaukee Brewers. I do have their postseason hat on. I did order my Mets postseason hat, so that'll be hopefully coming in soon. But yeah, the Mets are officially in the playoffs. We're going to be talking about that in today's stream. Overall, in today's stream, we're going to be going over the New York Mets and the Milwaukee Brewers series summary, summarizing what happened in that series, what went wrong, what went well for them, what I liked, what I didn't like, summarizing that. Of course, then we are going to be deep diving into the New York Mets and the Oakland Athletics series preview. So the Mets are going to Oakland to play a 3-game stretch out there. So we are going to be going over that. Obviously, some great stuff there. Then, of course, pretty much with the Mets clinching the playoffs, we're going to be talking about that for the first time since 2016. The Mets will be playing baseball in October. So there is definitely no complaints when it comes to that. So, yeah, before we get started, everyone, smash that like button. As always, turn on those post notifications so you never miss one of these streams or videos. If you have any comments, any questions, anything related to the Mets, the Brewers, anything baseball oriented, drop it down below and we will get into it. Yeah, we will get into it after my little rant. So let's stop wasting any time and let's dive into it. So, like stated, the Mets took 2 of 3 against the Milwaukee Brewers, and obviously ideal. Like I said, the Brewers definitely, talking about the Brewers, definitely have been falling out of contention for that last wild card spot. And I get it. Brewers still an interesting team, obviously. When it comes to their offense, they're a team that doesn't have a whole lot of offensive talent. I mean, you look at some guys on that team, whether that's a Colton Wong, whether that's a Christian Yelich, who has really not been able to get back to his, 2018, 2019 MVP form. That Brewers lineup is really just home run or strikeout, I feel. This is a team that obviously is definitely up there in the National League when it comes to the long ball. Have a couple guys with some power on that team, obviously. So this is a home run or strikeout team. The Mets obviously prevented the long ball quite a bit to the extent in the first 2 games, obviously. And they are obviously well known for their pitching. No secret in Corbin Burns, Freddie Peralta. Obviously, injuries have gotten to some of those guys, but still, Brewers are having a pretty good season for the most part. They've been having a rough second half, though. But obviously, we'll see how things go for them in the future. But getting into this series, game 1, the Mets won this game by a score of 7-2, and that was all they needed to clinch that playoff berth, obviously winning game 1 by a score 7-2. Mad Max Scherzer was on the bump for the New York Metropolitans, and Scherzer with a dominant outing was perfect, a perfect game in 6 innings. Obviously, this was his first appearance back from the IL. So obviously he had that perfect game going on in 6 innings, and Mets manager Buck Showalter said, you know what, I'm not going to take any risks with this. I get it. He has a perfect game in 6 innings, obviously going 6 innings, 9 strikeouts, clear slash line with everything else, only 68 pitches. Really surprising. Obviously, he did have a pitch count, so that is a big reason on why he left so early. But, really crazy to think, if he was not on the injury list and he didn't have a set pitch count, could we have seen a perfect game? If not a no-hitter? I know perfect games are very rare. So, really, really good outing from Scherzer. His stuff looked good. Obviously, 9 strikeouts, a lot of swinging and misses. Brewers lineup was chasing like crazy. All mixed up his pitches really, really, really well. The slider, the fastball, the sinker, that great combination there. The Gulf side slider to really confuse a lot of this Brewers lineup, taking ridiculous cuts, plenty of whiffs. So yeah, really good night for Scherzer. On the mound. Obviously, he went to the bullpen with Tyler McGill. Tyler McGill in his first appearance back from the 60-day IL. He has had, unfortunately, a lot of injury stints this season and has not pitched since June against the Anaheim Angels. And he, unfortunately, had an okay outing, obviously, an inning, but giving up that perfect game. Obviously, 2 hits, 2 runs, and a strikeout. So, not the best outing for McGill to return to. Following that, Seth Lugo came in. Lugo looking dominant. I've been saying it on these streams constantly. He's really, really showing himself off once again. Obviously, Seth Lugo an inning, giving up a hit and a strikeout. That changeup is going to be the key, really, in my opinion, to his success. We've seen the spin rate, we've seen the RPMs on his changeup, and we're really starting to see that 2019 changeup that he's that he had. So really, hopefully he could just continue to use that and really for success. And then following that, the ball was tossed to Adam Ottavino to close things off for the New York Mets. Ottavino going an inning, giving up a hit and 2 strikeouts. Ottavino, too, another guy who's been very consistent. 2 strikeouts, like to see that. Slider's been on tack. So, yeah, Mets pitching did their job. Obviously, only 2 hits. 4 hits and 2 runs. So you like to see that. Obviously, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 strikeouts from this Mets pitching staff that night. So you like to see that 100%. In terms of this offense, the offense was definitely on fire, locked and loaded. 7 runs and 10 hits. You like to see that. Getting things started with the offensive production. Going on into the 4th inning, Big Meat Pete Alonso decided to get in on some action and had a 3-run homer to left. Obviously, 437 feet for his 36th on the season. To bring in himself, Francisco Lindor, and Jeff McNeil. So good to see Alonso coming up into provide some offense. Heading on into the 6th inning, Francisco Lindor had an RBI triple to right to bring in Nimmo. Obviously, back-to-back triples. You don't see that very often. A couple bats later, Daniel Vogelbach had an RBI double to deep center to bring in Lindor. Going on into the 8th inning, Tyler Naquin had an RBI single to shallow center to bring in Pete Alonso. And then to cap things off, Tomas Nido had an RBI single to center to bring in Tyler Naquin. So you like to see that. Obviously, the Mets offense was scoring. They were hitting with runners in scoring position. We know that was kind of the biggest concern for this New York Mets team. Simply enough, going into this series against the Brewers. And I said, hit with runners in scoring position and you'll be fine. And they did that. 2 out hitting, 2 strike hitting. They were there. Fundamental hitting. And I mean, like I said, that's what is going to be the make or break for this team when it comes to them in the playoffs. Well, at least one of the big factors is, can this team hit with runners in scoring position? And they showed that they are definitely been capable. So hopefully they can continue to do that. Mets take the first game 7-2 to clinch their first playoff berth since 2016. Heading on into game 2 of this 3-game set, the Mets win this game by a score of 7-5. We also really like to see that. Obviously, Carlos Carrasco was on the bump for the Mets, and Carrasco, not a good outing for him. 4 innings, 5 hits, 3 runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, 90 pitches. So, yeah, he really got slammed in the 1st and 2nd inning with the pitch count. Obviously, only giving up 3 runs in the 2nd inning, obviously. Contact killed him. A lot of light contact, bloopers, some singles to center is really what got him. And the pitch count really drove him up. He got taken out. Slider didn't really look too great. Wasn't really connecting with slider. Obviously, with James McCann behind the plate, big surprise there. But yeah, wasn't really connecting and just, had one of those unfortunate outings. I know a lot of people are getting on Carrasco's case going into the second half, stating, oh, is he capable of, being in this, rotation as that 4th or 5th starter in the playoffs? And when it comes to Carrasco, I think it's really tough. I think he's been a guy, he's a veteran. He has that postseason experience. So that's something that you really do take value in when it goes into the playoffs. But we'll dive into that a bit more later. But yeah, one of those unfortunate outings for Carrasco. It happens. It happens to Walker. It happened to Scherzer. Everyone has an unfortunate outing. I don't really, people just like to complain. But yeah, following that, Trevor Williams, a guy who is always coming to outings like this following that. Williams having a good outing, 1 1/3 of an inning, 2 hits, a run, a walk, a strikeout, 29 pitches. Like I said, that's Williams' job. So hopefully he can continue to do that. Following that, Dolly Rodriguez came in for an inning, clean. Trevor May came in for 2/3 of an inning, giving up 2 hits and 2 strikeouts. Adam Ottavino came in for 2/3 of an inning, 2 hits, a run. And then Edwin Diaz to close things off with the 4-out save, striking out 3. Something that we've been seeing Buck Showalter do a lot this season is put Edwin Diaz in the 8th inning to get that last out in the 8th inning and then to give him the 3 outs in the 9th. And, I really don't mind that. I think that's something that's unique that a lot of managers don't do, I feel, nowadays. You don't really see a whole lot of 4-out saves, I feel. I feel that's something that is getting more common in the game, and I have no issue with it, considering that Diaz, really before this Brewers series, wasn't really used a lot. So like I said, I have no problem with getting Edwin Diaz back into the groove, whether that's using him for 4 outs instead of 3. I think that's something that definitely could be a big success for him. Even in the playoffs, I think that's going to be huge, using him for that 4 or 5 out save. It's not like you're using him for a 6-out save constantly, but I think it's really going to be interesting to see how that goes ahead. So yeah, obviously Diaz, great outing. In terms of this offense, it started off slow, but they got the job done, obviously, with those 7 runs and 4 hits. Obviously, getting started with the offensive production. Pete Alonso with another 3-run homer to center, his 37th on the year, 425 feet. So he pretty much fucking ripped that one, no doubt. 425 feet is stated to bring in himself, Canna, and Lindor. Good to see that. And going on into the 7th inning, Francisco Lindor, the $341 million man, comes into clutch with a grand slam, a go-ahead grand slam. 413 feet, homer to left, is stated to bring in himself, Naquin, McCann, and Nimmo. So really good to see Lindor with that grand slam. Definitely, if you think about, a Mets documentary for this season, you'll definitely have to include those 2 home runs there. And yeah, like I said, the Mets offense was, I don't want to say quiet, but with the hits, only 4 hits. But like I said, that's what power does. When you have power, when you have guys that are capable of hitting the long ball, that's what that's going to do for you. And I've always said it in the past that the Mets have a lack of power. I get it. You have guys like Pete Alonso, you have Lindor, but when it comes to, hitting home runs, boom, you may not need to rely on scoring 10, 11 hits a ball game to win. You can get 1 hit per game and still manage to win the ball game with a 3-4 run homer. So little stuff like that, I think, is something that the Mets really should take advantage of and continue to take advantage of that. So really, really liked what I saw with that. I really will say. So yeah, obviously, like I said, Mets win 7-5. Dolly Rodriguez with the W. Edwin Diaz with his 31st save on the season. Getting into Game 3 and the final game of this 3-game set against the Milwaukee Brewers. The Mets did not have the best of luck. Obviously, they lost by a score of 6-0. Once again, not the best game for the New York Mets. Really unfortunate. You had Taijuan Walker on the bump for the Mets, and Walker had a really good outing. Once again, had the Degrom effect of really no run support. A lot of people tore Walker apart for this after the game, but I don't really think it was necessarily his fault, considering he can't control what his offense does. But yeah, Walker had a decent outing. Taking a look at his numbers, obviously 6 innings, 6 hits, 4 runs, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. Kind of got to read in between the lines with that slash line, and we're going to get into that in a bit. 88 pitches. Early on, he started off pretty good, no doubt. First, 4 innings, he looked pretty good. His stuff looked good. His split finger was really there. He was throwing it hard. His velocity was there with it. The splitter slider was there. Only 3 strikeouts. So, the ball was put in play a lot of ground balls. Obviously, we saw the outfielders quite busy. Nimmo, McNeil, they were making some great plays out there. So, a lot of balls put into play. But like I said, as long as you see the ratio of ground balls to fly balls, that's all that really matters when it comes to Walker. So, decent outing for Walker. Following that comes in David Peterson, who comes in to relief. Obviously, Walker starts off this inning with letting 2 guys on, but Peterson comes in for 2/3 of an inning, giving up a run, a walk, a strikeout, 10 pitches, 5 of those in the strike zone. So one thing we've been noticing with David Peterson is he finds the strike zone much better in the bullpen. I couldn't tell you why that is. I don't know if that's a mental thing, if it's a situational thing. We've seen David Peterson's numbers when it comes to being in situations with pressure, and the guy performs very well under pressure. You could put this dude, with runners on the corners with no outs, he'll get that strikeout, that 6-4-3 double play to end the inning. So, really tip of the cap to David Peterson. I get it. He, his last couple outings and as a starter has been rough, but hopefully he can continue to be dominant in the bullpen. Once again, I do find it weird that they do want to put him in the bullpen, considering that walk issue. And like everyone said, there's less room for error, but we'll see how he continues to go with that. So yeah, following that, you put in Drew Smith, and this is where things really get interesting. Buck Showalter, I love Buck Showalter, but this is the one time where I kind of say, Buck, what are we doing, dude? He goes to, obviously, he takes Peterson out after 2 innings. Obviously, Peterson allows 1 runner on, takes him out. Peterson, obviously, retires the first 2 batters. It's a walk and a hit. 2 runners on, right? instead of letting Peterson face that last batter, he puts in Drew Smith. Keep in mind the bases are loaded, and Peterson already got one out. He needed a simple ground ball, whatever. And like we said, I've stated Peterson is phenomenal under pressure. But Buck Showalter goes to his bullpen and puts in Drew Smith. Keep in mind, Drew Smith, this is his first appearance back since July. He was on the IL, first appearance back from July. He comes in, gets one out, but before he gets that one out, he gives up a grand slam to Mike Brasso, the dude who I completely have forgot about since 2020. Gives up a grand slam to him, a meatball. Literally a meatball. I mean, this was really unfortunate there. This was a game that you had. I would have felt much comfortable going into the 8th and 9th inning with the 2-0 ball game, but then you went in with a 6-0 ball game. And I get it. We've seen the Mets, have these 6-7 inning comebacks, but unfortunately, that was not the case for them. So yeah, I mean, really unfortunate decision-making by Showalter, put in Drew Smith. Should have just simply enough, in my opinion, just left Peterson out there. And then simply enough, following that to close things out, he put in Tyler McGill with the clean outing. Obviously, 1 inning, 11 pitches. He pounded the zone well. No complaints with McGill. In terms of this offense, it was quiet. 4 hits, no runs. So really unfortunate. Obviously, yeah, really not much to say in terms of this game. So yeah, Mets take 2 of 3 from the Milwaukee Brewers. So they leave happy. I'll definitely say they left with the playoff berth and left with the series dub. So that's the Mets and Brewers series summary. But now getting into the New York Mets and the Oakland Athletics series preview, the Mets are going to Oakland to play a 3-game set for the first time, I believe, since 2014 that they have been at the Oakland Coliseum. So it's going to be interesting to see how they are back there. But yeah, the Mets are coming into this with a record of 95-56, third best in the MLB with a record of 45-30 on the road. So once again, those are pretty exceptional numbers, I'll say for the least. Obviously, Oakland Athletics not having the best of luck. I know we haven't really been speaking. Oh, we have spoken about them a little bit, but we kind of shit on them, and I feel bad. Oakland had all the talent. Owner just said no more. And yeah, Moneyball mentality has been rough for them. Obviously, they are 55-95, worst team in the AL with a record of 25-49 at home. So yeah, they've really been having a rough stretch at it. Obviously, they're 3-2 in their last 5, so not horrible. They won the series against the Mariners, so not horrible. I mean, you'll take that. Mariners have been hot. Injuries have been killing them too. That has been one thing. So we'll see. But in terms of the Mets, obviously, tonight's game will be at 9:40 Eastern Standard Time. Chris Bassett will be on the bump for the New York Mets to face his former team. So going to be interesting to see how Bassett faces in his former ballpark against his former team. Bassett, 14-8 on the season, 3.32 ERA, 1.14 WHIP, 171 innings pitches, 171 innings pitched. So we've been seeing the pitch count is definitely getting up there for Bassett. You'd like to see that. Shows how reliable he is. 163 strikeouts. Yeah, Bassett overall hoping for a successful outing. Mix up his pitch as well. You know that he has that huge arsenal of pitches: the fastball, the sinker, the slider, the changeup. If he could mix up his pitches really well, that'll be something nice. Throw inside to lefties, something we've been seeing him do a lot this season. Considering how the Oakland Athletics do have, decent left-handed lineup, so we'll see how he could go against them. And yeah, obviously the only thing I will say is prevent the long ball. Obviously 17 home runs on the season, but considering you're playing in the Oakland Coliseum, definitely a pitcher's park, long balls there are not the easiest thing to do. And I think Bassett is definitely capable of it, considering he does have good numbers when playing in the Oakland Coliseum. His old ballpark does have good numbers there. So hopefully he could just limit the long ball, keep the ball on the ground, keep the ball in the ballpark, let your elite outfield really just do the job, and we could have a good outing. So yeah, Bassett will be on the bump for tonight. Hopefully at least 6 innings would be nice. I get it, the bullpen hasn't really been completely used like crazy. I'll say the bullpen I think has had a good amount enough rest, so I'm not like crazy if you go to your bullpen in the 6th inning for whatever reason, or 7th inning. But yeah, like I said, we're gonna have to see how things can go there. So it's gonna be exciting. game for tonight. And for the Oakland Athletics, they will have Cole Irvin, the lefty. So like I said, we'll see how the Mets could share against him. Gives up a lot of hard contact, so we'll see. Hopefully the Mets can definitely take advantage of Cole Irvin and that hard contact. I know I said that the Oakland Coliseum is a pitcher's park, but really considering how much, the hard contact Irvin is capable of giving up, we'll see how things can go there. I mean, simply enough, taking a look-see at Baseball Savant when it comes to Cole Irvin, I'm kind of curious to see his hard hit, his barrel numbers and hard hit rate. Yeah, I mean, the only thing is, horrible. XBA, 25th percentile, average exit velocity, 20th percentile, hard hit rate, 30th percentile, 14th percentile, and barrel percentage. So Mets should hopefully definitely feast on him. I know he's a lefty, and I've expressed that the Mets cannot hit left-handed pitching. But if you're a lefty and you really give up a lot of hard contact, I easily could see guys like Alonso and Lindor feasting on that. And Escobar, too, has been hitting left-handed pitching really well lately. So that'll be tonight's game. Mets obviously have a 64.2% chance of winning this, according to ESPN. Getting into game 2 of this 3-game set, tomorrow's game, Saturday's game, 4:07 Eastern Standard start. Jacob Degrom, the GOAT, will be on the bump for the Mets, former Stetson Hatter, so always good to see him there. Jacob Degrom will be on the bump. Degrom, 5-2 on the season, 2.32 ERA, 0.61 WHIP, 54 and 1/3 innings pitched with 86 strikeouts. Degrom, like I said, really not much of an analysis to be given. He's dominant. He's elite. He's phenomenal. Like I said, mixes up his pitches really well. Fastball, slider, hard velo. He's more than capable of carrying himself. Like I said, he knows what he's doing. Obviously, he doesn't have the pitch count effect anymore. So, if you can give him 6-7 innings, that would be more than ideal, I would say. So, Degrom will be on the bump for them. And then for the Athletics, I'm probably going to butcher this name. Ken Walchuk. I have no idea how to pronounce that last name. He is also a lefty. He will be on the bump for the Athletics. Reliever, so they are going with an opener to start this. Numbers are not too great in 17 and 2/3 innings pitched. So, Mets should definitely be able to do something against him, considering his numbers are not too great. So, we'll see how things can go there. Getting into game 3 and the final game in this 3-game set. Sunday's game, 4:07 Eastern Standard start. The Mets will have Max Scherzer on the bump for the New York Mets. Obviously, Scherzer is once again having a dominant season, no secret to say. Looking at his stats, 10-4 record, 2.15 ERA, 0.88 WHIP, 133 and 2/3 innings pitched, 162 strikeouts. So strikeout numbers are there for Scherzer. Scherzer, like I said, he's an ace. He knows what he's doing. Mix up pitchers or mix up the hitters with that goal side slider, the back foot door slider. And he could really get some serious stuff done in that game. So definitely going to be really exciting outing from Scherzer. Hoping for the best from him there. And for the Oakland Athletics, they will have J.P. Sears, who they just recently acquired this past MLB trade deadline. So we'll see how he goes against the New York Mets, considering he did used to be a Yankee. So we'll see how he goes against his former state, as you could say. So that is the 3 games for the Mets and the Oakland Athletics. My projections, I think a sweep certainly would be capable. I think it would be ideal to sweep this team. Like I said, I really hate to shit on the Athletics, but they're just, there's really not much to say with them. Completely out of contention, one of the worst records in baseball. Like I said, you're trying to get games against the Braves. You're trying to build that division lead. This is definitely an exceptional time. Get those 3 games under your belt. I get it. My only concern with it is that they're all 3 of them are lefties. And I've said it 1,000 times. The Mets and left-handed pitching have not been friends this season. So you really got to try and take advantage of that. But, you look at other lefties like Patrick Corbin's who are inadequate, and the Mets take advantage of that. So, maybe Cole Irvin would be the most complicated guy I think you would honestly have to face overall. But I'm really not super worried when it comes to them facing this, this left-handed pitching arsenal. So, we'll see how things could share against the Mets and the Athletics this series. It's going to be exciting. In terms of like I said, I think a sweep is possible at like I said, for the Brewers, at worst 2 of 3. In terms of 3 guys that I think should be kept an eye out for, obviously my first guy on this list, I don't know. It's definitely going to be interesting. I mean, you look at the Oakland Coliseum. It's an interesting ballpark. But I think for the first guy that I think is going to have a good series is Francisco Lindor. Obviously, Lindor has been raking his last, we'll say his last 7 games, even 15 games. He has great numbers. Last 15 games in 63 at-bats, 11 runs, 20 hits, 4 homers, 13 ribbies, 4 walks, average of 317, OBP of 368, and a slugging of 603. So the power's there. He's hitting the ball opposite field, switch hitting. Has definitely been taking advantage, tightening up his swing. Lindor is really looking good, looking for that his 100th RBI in the season. We'll see, can he get that number 100 RBI in Oakland? We will see. So Lindor is my first guy to have a good series. My second guy to have a good series, I think Alonso will have a good series. Obviously, taking a look at Pete Alonso, the last 15 games, 58 at-bats, 10 runs, 16 hits, 5 homers, 15 ribbies, 6 walks, 2 stolen bases. So good to see Pete chugging out some stolen bases. He'll take advantage of that. Average of 276, OBP at 358, and a slugging of 569. So, like I said, 15 RBIs, 15 games, 7 games, 10 RBIs. So he's driving in runs. The RBI creation's there. We know that he had a little bit of a hiatus from driving in runs, and his RBIs were kind of stalled at some point at 69 and I think like 80 at one point. So yeah, he's definitely driving in runs now like crazy. He is on pace to break that Mets single season RBI record. He's at 121 now, trying to break that record of 124. So we'll see. I mean, this year is his career high for RBIs, so hopefully he is capable of breaking it. And I think he certainly will. Oh, he'll probably break it. So yeah, he is my second guy to have a really good series against the Oakland Athletics. And getting into the third and final guy of this series, I was going to say Brandon Nimmo, considering his walk percentage and his walk rate recently, but I don't know if he will be starting tonight. We know that he is day-to-day, so we'll touch on that. But I'm going to go, I get it, McNeil. McNeil has been struggling the last 7 games, but if you look at the overall picture, he's walking a little bit more, so you'll take advantage of that. So I'd like to say McNeil is going to have a good series. Obviously, last 15 games, 55 at-bats, 7 runs, 16 hits, 8 ribbies, 8 walks, 291 average, 406 OBP, 327 slugging. So, I mean, maybe the hits aren't there, but he's getting on base. He's getting hit by pitches, walks. So he's managing to get on base somehow, and that's really all I care about. Like I said, fundamental baseball, get on base and let the guy behind you do the job, pass the baton. That's literally all I'm looking for. Really nothing crazy. So, yeah, I think McNeil will have a pretty good series, to say for the least. So, yeah, those are the 3 guys that I think will have a good series getting into that. So, yeah, that is the New York Mets and the Milwaukee Brewers series summary, and, of course, the New York Mets and the Oakland Athletics series preview. We'll get into some comments, questions, anything you guys got in the comment section for maybe 20, 30 more minutes. So we can get into what you guys have to say. So if you have any comments, any questions, concerns, anything related to the Mets, the Brewers, anything MLB oriented, do not hesitate. Drop it below, and I will dive right into it. But let's say salute to everyone in the chat. Alex, Peter, Ibindos, Alex, once again, Mark, Seth, Logan, Kobe. I appreciate everyone for tuning in. Kobe says, hey, Hayden, what's up? So happy that the Mets are postseason bound. Likewise, man, I am super happy about that. And you know what? We'll take 2 minutes to sidetrack to the postseason. As stated before, the Mets have clinched a playoff spot, so there is really nothing to complain about there. Their first playoff spot for the first time since 2016. Obviously, the Mets have not clinched the division yet. They are on pace for that, but they did clinch a playoff spot. So regardless, they'll be in the wild card or, of course, the NL East championship or the NL East champion division winner, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm happy about that. I know The Mets were celebrating like crazy, and hey, go for it. The Mets. Mets fans like myself and everyone else has been through a lot the last couple of years. It's been hectic with the change of ownership, shenanigans last year, 2020. It's been a lot. 2019 is when I think this team really started to show that okay, we have a core of guys and we're capable of contending. And whether those core of guys are Pete Alonso, Jeff McNeil, Brandon Nimmo, now Edwin Diaz, Jacob Degrom, Max Scherzer. You brought in some new guys, obviously, and Starling Marte, Francisco Lindor, to really help out, and they are. So, Mets fans, we've definitely been through a lot the last couple years. I know a lot of people were saying "lol Mets" and they're going to collapse, once August or July hits or, whatever. But that doesn't seem to be the case. Mets are doing great things now. There's no major complaints. They're having one of the best seasons that I've been alive for. I was born in 2002, 20 years old. Like I said, I was a little young for 06. Don't really remember that a whole lot. And 07, 08, you had the September collapse, obviously. But yeah, like I said, it's really good to see the Mets having a great year. Obviously, 2015 too, I did see, but they surpassed the eliteness and dominance of 2015. Unless obviously they made it to the World Series, but in terms of the regular season, much more talent that's been shown. So yeah, like I said, really happy. Celebrate. Like I said, obviously the end goal is to win the division. I get it. I think any MLB fan or any MLB team wants to win the division. Why not? But what this Mets team has, are capable of it regardless. So, yeah, like I said, I'm happy. Celebrate. You're in the playoffs. You get to be watching October baseball. With the Mets, I'll probably be going ballistic in AWOL at some points. But yeah, like I said, be happy, celebrate. So many teams out there who have who have these playoff droughts. Philly's trying to break their playoff drought. The Mariners trying to break their playoff drought. So we'll see. Trey, what's going on? Yeah, Trey says Mets fans have earned every right to be cynical about this team over the years. We're 2-4 in World Series play over the course of 6 years plus. Other October losses. When you're a fan of a team, you never give up. Pardon us for expressing our thoughts from time to time. Yeah, man, no, absolutely. Like I said, please, Trey, I always see you here, man. You could always comment, whatever. You're awesome. But yeah, like I said, I agree with you. I think it's awesome that Mets fans finally get to see us in October with, a good enough manager. Obviously Terry Collins was great, but it's going to be awesome. We'll just leave it at that. What's going on, guys? Cal, Eric, Marco, appreciate you guys for tuning in. Kobe says, great series against the Brewers. 2 of 3, I'll take it. Yeah, likewise, 2 of 3, you'll take it. Win these series. Like I said, it seems whenever the Mets lose, the Braves lose, and they could just not gain ground, which is ballistic. If the Mets played yesterday, I bet they would have lost because the Braves lost yesterday. But yeah, like I said, we'll have to see. Hopefully, they could really just try and continue to take on this lead. You're going to want a lead going into this Braves series down the line. What's going on? Jones. Cal, what's going on? He says, who starts game 1 of the playoffs, Degrom or Scherzer? Yeah, pretty simple. I would say Degrom. I could see why someone would make a case for Scherzer. Maybe he has a little bit more playoff experience than Degrom. Degrom pitched in 2015. It's been a while ago, but it's Degrom. I wouldn't really see any other reason why they would want Scherzer. Maybe besides that playoff experience, a little bit more, but I would easily go with Degrom every day of the week. Jones says, I'm glad the Mets woke up and realized that they aren't going to get any help from these teams playing the Braves, Phillies included. Yeah, right now you look at who the Braves have been playing, and the Nationals, you can't really rely on them. What are they going to do? They're one of the worst teams in baseball. You can't rely on them to take a full game, lead off of the Braves. So, yeah. But, you look at who the Braves are playing down the line, and yeah, it's going to be interesting. Right now, taking a little examination, I'll share my screen. Give me 1 second. Yeah, obviously taking a look-see, we'll put it like that. Yeah, the Braves, you can't really rely on teams like the Nationals to take games away. The Athletics, you can't really rely on teams like that to take games away from the Braves. But the Braves are going to have an interesting schedule. They really are. Obviously, the Braves lost last night to the Phillies. But then you have 3 more games against the Phillies. So for the few times Mets fans could say is they're probably going to be, Philly fans for the weekend. Then the Braves are going to play a 3-game set in Washington. Can you rely on the Nationals? Probably not. If the Nationals could at least take one, you'll hope for that. Then this is the big series. The 30th, the 1st, and the 2nd. Those are going to be the biggest games of the Mets and Braves most likely, unless the Mets somehow get a big enough lead or whatever against the Braves or vice versa. You're probably going to determine the division. And when it comes to that, I get it. The Mets have 2 extra more games. The Mets have 2 extra more games to play against the Braves, considering that we had an off day yesterday and we have an off day on Monday. So I get that part. So going into that series, if you at least take 2 of 3, you're fine. Even if you take 1 and you're up a game and a half, you'll take that. And then considering the Braves are ending their series off in Miami, we know the Marlins have not really been having the greatest expectations this season. You look at right now, they're a game and a half ahead. Obviously, Mets are 95-56, Braves are 93-57. So a game and a half, both 6-4 in their last 10. So you're gonna really have to hope that the Mets could take every game that they can. Every game is literally going to determine the division practically. I know a lot of people are saying, no, Mets and Braves is going to determine the division, but all these other games are. And, you look at the Mets schedule, it's also easy. Play 3 against the Athletics, 2 against the Marlins, 3 against the Braves, and 3 against the Nationals. I at least say you've got to take 2 or 3 from the A's, take both from Miami, at least take 1 or 2 from the Atlanta, and at least take 2 or 3 from the Nationals. I mean, that's really what you got to do. I forgot where it was. So, yeah, we'll see. What's going on, Connor? Karen, what's going on, guys? Michael says, can't wait to see the Mets finally play baseball in late October. Yeah, likewise, man. It's going to be really exciting to see both, really just see the Mets in general playing in the playoffs. Super, super excited for that. Connor says, how crucial is it for the Mets to win the NL East? I mean, it's not like listen, I would much love the Mets to win the division. I think the only thing that would affect it in terms of being crucial is who you're going to play down the line. Considering if the Mets are the wild card team, then you would have to go on in the NLDS to face the Dodgers. And if you're the Mets, would you rather them face the Dodgers in the CS or the DS? I'd rather them face them in the CS, because if the Mets win the division, then they would either go up against the Phillies or the Cardinals. The Mets are 14-5 against the Phillies this season, and then they went 5-2 against the Cardinals this season. Let me see what the Mets record was against the Cardinals this season. I would have much more confidence. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4-2. So the Mets are 4-2 against the Cardinals and 14-5 against the Phillies. So I think the Mets would have much more confidence, and morale would be favoring the Mets going into that series. They're facing those 2 teams instead of the Dodgers. I get it. The Mets were 4-3 against the Dodgers this season, but it's much more challenging. I mean, I don't need to explain the Dodgers in the playoffs. I get it. They choke. I heard all about it. Oh, 2020. Oh, we know all about that. But still, the Mets morale would really be a big thing for them. Football, what's going on? I appreciate you tuning in. Jones has been a Met fan since I was born and got into baseball following the Mets when I was still 11 or 12, sitting through years after pain. Last several years, I got back to watching baseball on the regular more often. This team this year is something different. Let's keep it at that. Yeah, man. I mean, I agree with you. This team is definitely one of the best teams that I've been around for to watch. I mean, I've seen 06, 07, 2015, 19. I get it. But yeah, I think this team is definitely capable of really doing some great stuff down the line. Possible dynasty, I hope. This is a good thing. Trey says, Nimmo should just talk to Gore for 10 minutes. LOL. That dude is a base stealing artist. I agree with you on that. I mean, ironically, we've been seeing Nimmo steal 2 bases in the span of a week, and it resulted to, like an oblique or some type of soreness. Now he's day to day. No worries. He's fine. Just day to day Nimmo. But I really would like to see Nimmo steal more. I think the only deterrent of it is the health factor, knowing how injury prone Nimmo is capable of getting into. I think that's really the only thing that a lot of people are a little bit more hesitant on for Nimmo stealing more. And I think it's really going to be interesting to see how the Mets do that in the playoffs when it comes to them stealing bases. I mean, you look at the 2015 Royals, we saw how capable they were, simply enough, in that postseason. And we saw the 2015 Royals took advantage of the Mets in that playoff bound. Stealing bases, tagging up on sac flies, little stuff like that is going to be the most important thing for them, simply enough. So, we'll see how things go for them. It's going to be interesting. Matthew says, yeah, could never have enough guys on the team who could steal some bags, especially your leadoff guy who definitely got some speed. And I agree with you. And considering that Nimmo was a leadoff guy and the depth you have behind him in Marte, in Lindor, and in Alonso, I want Nimmo to steal more. I really do want Nimmo to steal more. Kobe says, how many wins will the Mets finish with this season? Well, you look at the Mets now, they have 95 wins? 95 wins, and then you play 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Play 11 more games. So, I mean, in some miracle, they win every single game. That'd give them 106 wins. Let's say they go. I'm going to break out the calculator here because I'm abysmal at math. So you got 95 wins, right? Got 11 more games. So let's say they go like. Let's say they go like 8. Let's say they go like 8-3. Just completely hypothetical. So you'd have 95 plus 8, and that would give you 103 wins. I think they'll probably get 102. I know they're on pace for 103, but I think 102, 103, 104 is something reasonable. I believe the 86 full-time record for them was, what was it, 107, 108? 108. So, yeah. I mean, if I think, I don't think they'll get 108 wins, nor is it possible considering their record. But I would say 103 is reasonable. It's crazy that this division is going to have two teams that have over 100 wins. It's like last year with the NL West, with the Dodgers and Giants. Alex says, the Mets seem like they have it all. They're a gritty team that never give up. Congratulations to Buck Showalter. Yeah, I mean, I really do give Buck Showalter a lot of credit for what this team has accomplished. I mean, this dude has really done phenomenal things. And I mean, not to go off, a managerial rant, but not to go on a managerial rant, but we've been seeing how the Mets have been when it comes to rookie managers the last couple seasons, and it's finally good to see them have really a veteran experienced manager. Simply enough, I just feel like this Mets team is not, I don't want to say not capable, but not known for having inexperienced managers. Daniel, what's going on? He says, it is very important for the Mets to win the division so they can get some rest. No, I agree with you on that too. I think that's going to be important, considering that you're going to have a wild card because it's 3 games now. That is something that is new to this team. That it is going to be 3 games. So you're going to only have 2 days rest, and then boom, you're back in the division. So I think the rest thing is going to be huge for them, considering that rotation. Obviously, and then that rotation you go into facing the Dodgers, hypothetically, if you are the wild card team, would be your 4, 5, and 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, and 1. Probably could be 4, 5, 5, 1, 2, maybe. We'll see. But I agree with you, Daniel. Daniel says, which relievers and players will be left off the playoff roster? Yeah, well, if I'm the Mets, I think Darren Ruff is definitely one of those guys. Yeah, I think Darren Ruff definitely has to be one of those guys. I mean, let's take a look see at the Mets playoff roster or the Mets roster 26-man roster. So I know guys like Vientos won't be able to qualify, I believe, because they. Oh no, I think he may be able to qualify, but I don't think the Mets would take that risk. So you look at. I mean, obviously, yeah. I don't think Vientos will be on it. I don't think Darren Ruff will be on it. I could see Terrence Gore just for the pitch running ability and the ability to steal. So I think it makes sense to use him as that. But you cannot have Darren Ruff. Mark Vientos probably not. I mean, you look at the pitching. I would really hate to see Drew Smith in there, considering how horrible Drew Smith has been. And when it comes to Drew Smith, it's just I'm getting very frustrated with a lot of people defending Drew Smith. When it comes to Drew Smith, he started off the season great, no doubt. So did Chase and Shreve, and no one's defending Chase and Shreve, right? Just meatballs. Dude's giving up meatballs. The long ball and just the hard contact has been killing him. So it's going to be rough. Lane says, can the Mets beat up on the Oakland A's on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday? Yeah, I hope so. I think it's definitely possible that they're capable of beating up on those three teams to really take advantage of their division. I really do think they are capable of it. Mets must take 2 of 3 in Atlanta. Yeah, I think 2. 2 of 3, I think, is reasonable. Even if they win 1, you still have the 2 extra games against the Braves. I believe the Braves only have 9 games left, but the Mets only have 11, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. So that also is one good thing to mention there if it comes to that. So even if you don't, like I said, you do still have those 2 extra games that have to be played. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that is how it is. But yeah, like I said, 2 of 3, you at least, worst, you take 1 of 3. You cannot get swept because that'll be unfortunate. Alex says, I bought all my Mets postseason gear. Can't wait to be at Citi Field this October. Amazing. Yeah, it's going to be exciting. Yeah, definitely going to be exciting, man. Alec, I read that. Kobe says, biggest strength and weakness for the Mets in the playoffs. Yeah, I mean, right now, when it comes to it, I would say the biggest strength probably is the pitching depth. I mean, having that elite 1-2-3 punch of Degrom, Scherzer, Bassett, that's arguably one of the best 1-2-3 punches and the best 1-2 punch. I mean, in any probably postseason history. Well, not any. I mean, there's dominant ones. The '90s Braves, of course, but definitely one that's memorable. So yeah, I think the pitching depth is probably a big strength. And even, I mean, the depth, Degrom, Scherzer, Bassett, that 1-2-3 punch. And then you go on with guys like Walker, with Carrasco. And then you continue to go on. Peterson, Williams, McGill. Hopefully Lucchesi returns. So the depth is going to be phenomenal for them. Comes to the weakness, I probably would say hitting with runners in scoring position. I think that'd be a big thing considering the double plays have been really big for the Mets lately. Obviously Marte, Alonso, Ruff. We've seen a lot of double plays lately, so hopefully they could really try and cure that. Lane says, what is the news with Brandon Nimmo? So yeah, Brandon Nimmo is day to day. Obviously he's fine. Do not worry with Nimmo. He is considered day to day as it is right now, so I'm really not worried with him. Yeah, I'm not worried with Nimmo. He is day to day. What is it? I'm trying to find. He had a left. I don't want to say it because I'm probably going to be wrong. Left. So Brandon Nimmo had an MRI, left quad injury. So he had some quad tightness. So he was put on day to day. Possibility, maybe pitch hitter tonight. Something happens. We'll see. You're gonna want to be careful with him. Maybe use him as a DH. Considering you want him to be careful in the outfield. He's a great defender, so he could easily slide and screw himself up more. So maybe tonight DH could be reasonable. Maybe pitch hitter, come out on deck for something. We'll see. Ryan, what's going on, man? I appreciate you tuning in. Cal says Mets should at least sweep the A's. Take both from the Marlins. 2 of 3 from the Braves and 2 or 3 from the Nationals. Yeah, I mean, I think that's something that is definitely reasonable. I would hope you could sweep the A's, take both from the Marlins, considering how poorly they've been playing. Nationals are just always that sneaky. It's not sneaky, but it's their division rival, so they know you, you know them well. So, they kind of know the ins and outs of each other a little bit. So that's why I'm not like, oh, sweep the Nationals. The Braves couldn't sweep the Nationals. So I'm saying just do something like that. But yeah, Braves, that's gonna be the most exciting series, really is, for the least to say. Lane says, what if the Mets get into the World Series? If the Mets get into the World Series, I will be very happy. And if they win, I will go ballistic. Jed, what's going on, man? I appreciate it. Gio says, hey, Hayden, long time no see. How have you been doing lately? Let's go, Mets. Yeah, appreciate you tuning in, man. Peter says, go 8-3 for the last 11 games. Yeah, 8-3 is reasonable. Like I said, that definitely give you, what was it, 103 wins, which is what you're on pace for. So that's pretty much what the Mets are on pace for. So he'll take it. Kobe says, are you going to a playoff game? Yeah, I was thinking about going to a game. It's kind of hard because I'm in school now. I'm in DeLand, Florida, which is where Stetson University is. So it's kind of hard. I'd consider with my classes. I actually have a pretty good schedule, to say for the least. Obviously, I don't have any Friday classes, so that actually works out well. My last class on Thursday ends at 12:30. So even if I was like thinking of something like I leave Thursday, I know a lot of people in New York, so staying somewhere isn't really an issue. Just getting there and figuring out school. But maybe even something around the lines of like leaving on a Thursday and then going to a game like Friday and then Saturday and coming back on Sunday, something like that could be reasonable. I'll see. I hope I can go to a playoff game this year. The Marlins aren't in it, so I'd say like a DS possibility there could be cool. I doubt the Rays will make the World Series, and even if they do, I doubt it'll be Rays versus Mets, because then boom, Tropicana's 2 hours from my school, so that'd be perfect. But yeah, I'll say it's kind of, I'm 50-50. If the Mets make the World Series, yeah, you could bet on it. Alex says Mets bat showed up big time. This series very clutch. Hope for more clutch home runs this season and postseason. Yeah, like I said, the clutch home runs are going to be something huge for them. Seen it all season. Clutch home runs are huge. They really are. Ivan Doe says, who would you rather the Mets face in the postseason first? The Cardinals, Braves, Phillies, Dodgers, someone else. Like I said, well, as being realistic as it would go, if the Mets win the division, then they would most likely face the Cardinals or Phillies, and I'd much rather one or the two of them face the Cardinals or the Phillies, considering their record is stated against both of those teams. So I think you'd have a much better chance when it comes to the playoffs facing against those two teams. Daniel says it's World Series or bust. It's World Series or bust. Mets must win the World Series this year. Sorry, a little bit of a tongue twister. Yeah, definitely you really hope that they can try and win something. You really do. Like I said, it's not like the Mets, in my opinion, have different expectations than a lot of teams, because the Mets aren't really well known with making the playoffs. This is their 10th postseason berth of their whole franchise. Hold on, give me 1 second. I'm sorry. Yeah, like I said, it's their 10th postseason berth of their whole franchise since 1962. Look at a lot of other franchises like the Yankees. Take it with a grain of salt. They've had 20 of their World Series rings before the Mets were even around in form. So, like I said, but they make the playoffs every year. Same with like teams like the Cardinals. Their expectations are get into the playoffs to win the World Series. Or maybe the Mets' expectations this year is get into the playoffs, get into the NLCS, get really far in, and continue to build off of that each year. Obviously, yes, I think with the talent the Mets have, it really is World Series or bust. I agree with you, Daniel, and I'm sure a lot of other people do. Considering right now, the Mets have the talent. You have one of the best 1-2-3 punches in postseason in history. One of them, definitely mentionable. Not the best, but definitely a mentionable one. So, like I said, the talent's there. It really is there. So yeah, like I said, we're gonna see how things go. It's gonna be interesting. It really is. Lane says, who do you think the Mets will face in the NLCS? So if the Mets do get the division spot and they beat either the Phillies or Cardinals, and that obviously the NLCS is probably going to go to the Dodgers. I really, think the Dodgers are really the team to beat, in my opinion. in the NL. I get it. They're capable of choking. We've seen it in the past. I get it, but we'll see. It's going to be a really tight match. I'm trying to pull up. I want to pull up the MLB postseason bracket. Pull up the bracket as of what it would be today, or the playoff format. So this is what it would be today. I think it's today. Whatever. Even if it's not, I doubt it changed much. No, I don't think you want to see my work here. There we go. Yeah. So, little stuff like that could hopefully make this seem easier. So, yeah, like I said, the Mets are supposed to face the Phillies or Cardinals, and I think Mets fans would much rather that, considering the numbers against them in the regular season. I get it. Maybe that's always not the thing. Look at 2015. Mets got swept by the Cubs. Cubs went 6-0 against the Mets in 2015. What happened in the NLCS? They swept them. So who knows? Maybe that's not the mentality to use, but you never know. It's a key argument, I guess you could say. So let's say that happens. Let's say the Mets beat one of the two teams here. Great. Mets are in the NLCS. Got here, Padres, Braves, right? Padres, Braves, right? I'll say the Braves win, okay? Whatever, right? Braves win. Braves, Dodgers, whoever wins, yeah. So, I think it would reasonably it'd be one of these three teams. It'd be either the Padres, Braves, or Dodgers. Most reasonable who I think it would be is probably the Dodgers, I'd say. Cal says step 1 complete, 4 more steps to go. Step 2, let's win the division. Let's go Mets. Yes, sir. There are, I guess you could say 4 more steps. Obviously 1, get in. 2, win the division. 3, clinch the games in the playoffs, and 4, win the World Series. Yeah, I agree with you, man. Marco, what's going on? Marco says, do you think Buck Showalter will win Manager of the Year? Yeah, I think he could really make a really strong case for it. I think he will. In terms of the NL, I get it. Guys like Fred Counsell, maybe Bob Melvin, but yeah, I think it has to be Buck Showalter. What he's assembled with this team really has been insane. It really has. So I can't really see any other managers winning it than Buck Showalter. Jones says the Oakland Stadium will mostly be Mets fans. Yeah, probably. Trey says Vientos may need to go back down to AAA after this week. He's not ready for the big boy club. Yeah, the strikeout numbers have been really hard for him. He's only had, 1 hit? So the strikeout numbers have really been hard for him this season. And that was kind of an expectation for Vientos when he got called up, because you look at the minor leagues, and then you have to transition that into the major league. So if someone has a strikeout percentage of 30%, which is what I think Vientos had in AAA, then you put that in the MLB, we're going to be talking 40, 50% strikeout rate. And that's, 50% of your at-bats are striking out. That's pretty shit. So, yeah, when it comes to Vientos, I don't think he'll be on the postseason roster. I think it would be very rare if he somehow makes it on. I get it. He's hitting the ball a little bit hard. Congrats. I don't care. I always said, hit the ball hard, good things will happen. But, yeah, we're talking about a different scenario here. Electric Voltage says, let's freaking go Phillies. I'm sure you'll be saying that this weekend. Yes, I will be a temporarily Phillies fan for the weekend, yes. Timothy says, Hayden, will the Mets beat the Yankees in 6 games and win their 3rd World Series title? I would love to see a Subway Series postseason. I would absolutely love to see that. Do I think it'll happen? Probably not. I think it's reasonable to happen, but I don't know. We'll see. It's possible. So, yeah, we're probably going to call it a stream here, though, in a couple of minutes. So, yeah, like I said, we're probably going to call it a stream here. I really do, obviously, appreciate everyone for tuning in to today's stream, as always. Really happy that the Mets are finally in the playoffs. First time since 2016. That is definitely something to be proud of and to be happy of. Really is to say for the least. So, yeah. Like I said, super exciting stuff to come for the New York Metropolitans ahead. They got some great stuff to look for ahead. Really, really to say for the least. Got some great stuff to come for down the line. But yeah, appreciate everyone for tuning in. Like I said, Like I said, smash that like button, turn on those post notifications, tell your friends about this stream, all that great stuff. Let's get out to some more MLB baseball fans generally overall. Yeah, in today's stream, we went over the New York Mets and the Milwaukee Brewers series summarized everything that went well, what went wrong, whatever. Then we went into the New York Mets and the Oakland Athletics series previewing that. Obviously, going over the Mets playoff berth, all that great stuff. Talking about the Mets farm system, talking about the possibilities of the Mets playoffs and the postseason bracket overall, how things can go there. So yeah, really going to be super exciting to see how things transition for this New York Mets team down the line. But yeah, probably going to call a stream here. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. LFGM, and yeah, sayonara.